Okay, another video, because frankly, I'm sick of not being able to find information myself. So, a few people have asked me to make a key bindings and mouse and keyboard video. There's not a whole lot of mouse and keyboard videos for this game that I found, especially for 2021 or even 2020, besides a bunch of irrelevant Reddit posts. So, what I'm going to do is go through my settings for mouse and keyboard. That way, hopefully it helps some people that prefer to play on mouse and keyboard or just have to play on mouse and keyboard, okay? I have played with dual sticks before. I haven't played with HOTAS setup before, but definitely dual sticks, and I just prefer mouse and keyboard. So, first and foremost, what we're going to do, I'm just over here in Port All-Star with a Gladius. It's got triple S3 attritions on it. This is my standard like Gladius loadout, so nothing spectacular, just my favorite ship to fly. Ship loadout, quick Gladius loadout. It's got an Atlas, Quantum Drive, dual snow blinds, Slipstream, Guardian, and a Mirage. And then weapons, like I said, attrition 3s, and then full Rattlers. So this is kind of like a more PvE loadout, but you can PvP with it too, just fine. It is fixed though, it's not gimbaled. Okay, so let's go over settings. So the most important thing for mouse and keyboard is your DPI and your sensitivity. Okay, so first and foremost, before you change any game settings, I would suggest you find a DPI you're comfortable with. So a DPI that I'm comfortable with is if I go from the left side of my mouse pad, rotate horizontally to the right, it gives me a full 180, right? So left to right, full 180. And I'm carrying over because I'm in space. Herp derp. But that's what sensitivity I'm comfortable with. And then, just so you know, where is it? Game controls. I forget where. There it is. So controls, mouse sensitivity curves, flight movement. I'm on 1 flight yaw, 1 velocity limiter. I don't think I've ever touched those. Free look is 1. So everything's basically at 1 sensitivity. But that's just because my personal mouse DPI is set the way I prefer it. If I cycle through my mouse DPI, let's see if I can do it. See how it gets higher if I cycle through. There's lowest. My lowest DPI setting, I prefer second to lowest. So sensitivity, get it right. Flight movement, boom, boom, boom. Okay, whatever you're comfortable with. Now, number 2, what is this? Alright, so number 2, most relevant settings for mouse and keyboard to me is your VJoy settings. So this is what a lot of people overlook, and I think this is where a lot of people go wrong. So VJoy is your virtual joystick. Now mine is set all the way low. So this one is set all the way low, and my dampening curve is set low too. My stick precision is all the way up. I think that's kind of irrelevant. So what VJoy is off my reticle. See how that line carries over? Okay. So let me do a quick circle. See how tight this quick circle is? But notice that my ship is moving with this tight circle. Okay. When you change VJoy, max it all the way out. See how it does not move my ship, and see how long your VJoy is, your virtual joystick, right? It's the game is trying to compensate for your mouse movement, okay? So right now, you're not moving your ship, and so it won't even start turning your ship until here, and then you'll start doing a fast turn all the way out here. But the issue is, when you're pulled out like that, you're not going to be able to aim correctly, or at least efficiently, with your crosshair. So you have to find a happy medium for what you prefer, okay? So definitely, obviously, preference shouldn't be all the way up. My preference is all the way down. That's what I'm comfortable with. VJoy, all the way down. So my ship moves basically as soon as I get out of my crosshair. And what that does is it lets you, do hard turns. Boom, boom. But see how you can strafe properly? You're not herky-jerky, right? And your reticle isn't 4 inches away from you, or your VJoy isn't 4 inches away from you, right? You just simply, in a nice little grouping. I don't know how to explain it, but it just feels like, change the setting, and I guarantee you it'll feel better for you. Okay, guaranteed. So VJoy, sensitivity, and then that should help you exponentially as far as what you want set up. And then from there, we can talk about key bindings, I guess, and then do a little spinaroo, report all star. Don't even have to look at that. So alright, next would be key bindings. So options, key bindings. I haven't changed much, but I come from an FPS background, so I prefer not to move my left hand as little as possible, and I prefer to keep all my proactive movements on my mouse, I guess, if that makes sense. So eject, haven't changed any of these. Flight systems, comma, change open all doors, open or close doors, comma, and comma all, just to have it key bound. One big key binding for me is cycle camera angle, so your view in chip. So mouse button 3, okay, it's right there on your right hand. That way you're not moving your left hand. Okay, super simple. So mouse button 3, and then mouse button 3. That's also my third-person view for FPS mode as well. So mouse wheel up. Free look is still on Z, because again, I can just hit it with my ring finger, and boom, it's right there. Look behind, it's a big one, is number 1, like literally the number 1. And you'll see why in a little bit. Flight movement, still all the same. QE for roll. This is a huge one, caps lock. So caps lock is my VJoy or relative flight mode, and what that does is, you're obviously in VJoy right now. Relative flight mode gets rid of VJoy, and so your ship movement becomes how much you drag your actual mouse, as opposed to like a slide. It's more of like you're dragging your mouse, right? So what that's good for is if you're trying to quantum somewhere, like let's choose a mark. If you're in VJoy, sometimes it's hard to stick onto that target. If I hit caps lock, boom, sticks right to it, and it doesn't move. You gotta actually force your ship to move. Okay, so that's all caps lock does. And it's also good for doing, like, I'm in VJoy now, but go to relative flight mode, and it's good for doing quick turns, right? Especially in third person, you can actually turn quicker in relative mode if you literally slap your mouse around, but I don't prefer that. So, but it's still a imperative key binding to have. Okay. Movement, caps lock, spacebar is still strafe. Strafe down is still left control. It's just I hit it with my pinky. It's what's comfortable for me. Some people put it on Z, and it's preference. Decouple mode is still V. Afterburner is still left shift. Mouse wheel is speed limiter. Boom, boom. X is still speed brake. Because again, I can hit it with my middle finger, because typically when you're speed braking, you're typically not holding W anyway. So if you just get used to playing like that, then you're good to go. Okay, and you want to speed brake a lot, by the way. A lot of people don't speed brake. All right, cruise control is still C, and VTOL, auto land, boom, boom. Quantum drive is still B. targeting, I unbound all these. This game has way too many targeting options when you only need 3, and that's all I use. So remove all pin targets is O to kind of clear your target. And then flight targeting, cycle lock forward, so this is cycle enemy, is R. Super simple. If I see an enemy, I hit R, boom, it cycles my target. Cycle friendly, T, super simple, right? Cycle sub-targeting is number 2. So my rear view is 1, and cycle sub-targeting is 2. Super simple. So when you pin an enemy with R, you can target his weapons by hitting 2, or hit 2 again, and it'll go back to his hull. Doesn't get easier. Like I said, keep it simple, and you don't need a million targeting keybinds. Scan mode, we don't change anything. Mining mode, we don't change anything. This mode, preference, turrets, relevant, flight weapons, still mouse button 1 and 2. G is your gimbal. Missiles, here's a big one. So like I said, put as much on your mouse as possible. That way you're not moving your left hand. Acquire missile lock is mouse button 4. Launch missile is mouse button 5, right? Flight defensives. Launch countermeasures right here is left alt plus mouse button 4. So literally while you're flying, you don't have to take your fingers off anything. You can hold left alt and hit mouse button 4 and throw countermeasures out, right? Noise deploy is still J, whatever. And then missiles, where is it? Cycle missiles. Cycle missiles is right here. Okay, so cycle missiles forward is left alt plus mouse button 5. So literally, my missiles lock, fire, cycle, and then launch countermeasures, all from 2 buttons, right? Super simple. Power, UI, that's all I use. I power my shit by U, hit my I. Flight radar, nothing change. HUD, nothing change. Lights, L. On foot, nothing changed. EVA, nothing changed. Ground vehicles, social. So yeah, that should be it. All my on foot commands are kind of match my ship. So, where's third person? Third person view in FPS, mouse button 3, right? Heal, refill oxygen, left alt plus mouse button 4, left alt plus mouse button 5. You're keeping relative actions on your mouse, right? So, social, there's nothing right here. Head tracking, keys, F. So yeah, that should be it. Okay. So, like I said, DPI, VJoy setup. A lot of people go wrong just because they don't have their VJoy set up properly. And that's where you lose a lot of your precision with mouse and keyboard, is if your VJoy set way too high. Alright, so let's do a quick bounty mission. I just want a single target. Let's do a high risk, accept offer. So go here in the Gladius. I don't really PvE a lot in the Gladius. So look, VJoy still set up. Boom, hit caps lock relative. Locks on. Doesn't lock on, but you get what I'm saying. And I'll see if I can play with these targets to kind of explain it a little bit better. So we're still in relative. See how it's kind of herky-jerky? Boom, caps lock, VJoy. Okay. Let me see if I can get a rendezvous flight. Set route. Also, if you're hard burning to a bounty target, you're doing it wrong. A lot of them, you won't be able to quantum straight to them. But if you do what I just did and actually set a route to a rendezvous mark, then you can jump straight to it. So this dude, here's a Valkyrie. Alright, so we're gonna burn to him. I'm gonna lower my speed limiter with mouse wheel, I'm going to keep it one click up. Okay. I'm going to avoid this asteroid before I die. Alright, so let's take his friends out real quick. There's a Cuddy. So I'm going to try to keep this super simple. Boom, afterburner, and I'm just going to strafe and match the target if they actually fight back. So see how my VJoy isn't all the way out? See how my pip, you can hit greens constantly, right? And I'm turning right, not turning, but I'm strafing right as I'm doing this, okay? You can get comfortable with doing afterburners and stuff like that if you want, when you get comfortable with aiming, right? So let's burn to him, close the distance. Yeah, dead. Okay. So that was literally me just hitting one button and strafing right, okay? So I don't want to kill the freelancer yet. Let's kill the freelancer. Okay. So we're gonna burn to him. He's gonna hit his brakes like they always do. There we go. And with this loadout, I didn't do the ship loadout, but these attritions do quite a bit of damage. They're only S3s, but they still get it done. Close the distance a little. See how my aim isn't jerking all over the place? It's kind of what you want. And again, I'm not doing evasive maneuvers or anything, but you kind of just want to practice and take your time. So you can always like hit left to kind of compensate for what you're doing. But just get used to these settings and then go from there, I guess. And then you can always break off a little bit, make some distance, throw a couple rattlers at them. Super simple. Mouse button forward, mouse button 5. Right. Boom, boom. Close the gap again. This gets a little difficult, and again, I'm not going for like kill time here. I'm just literally playing with these guys just to kind of show you. Get a solid pip going. Boom. Okay, back up. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, you can always burn away. I would say once you get used to playing that way, then you can get used to playing with your throttle maxed out. See how my throttle's maxed out right now, but I'm going to personally control my speed. A lot of people will tell you on mouse and keyboard to play with half throttle always, which is fine. I mean, you can play like that when you're starting out, but it's far more beneficial if you can actually control your speed, because that's where stick users have an advantage. Stick users can control their speed exponentially better than you can on mouse and keyboard, because your speed is relative to what you're putting it at, right? So like right now I'm at 0 speed. Right now I'm at half speed. And that time it took me to just adjust it there, stick users can adjust that almost instantly, right? So there's the difference. But stick users, once you get used to this, stick users cannot aim nearly as well, right? Depending on what ship you're flying to, by the way. I mean, it all depends on that. So I'm going to strafe this guy. We're going to hit number 2. See how it sub-targets an engine? If you look at the top right MFD, it sub-targets his engines. And a Valkyrie is kind of irrelevant because it's got a lot, but yeah, I don't know. This guy's fighting. Desync. So yeah, if your aim doesn't look this smooth, then you're doing something wrong. So see how I'm gradually turning, and I'm not doing evasive maneuvers right now, or anything like that. I'm literally just following the target, right? But you can add rolls, you know, speed brake right there, afterburn, boom boom, kind of match. play with you a little. Okay. So, a lot of times when you close the distance, you can just hard target the hull. So, but yeah, I hope that was helpful. Definitely change your VJoy settings, and then play with your mouse settings, okay? And then practice from there, and practice like what I'm doing right here before you start trying to be, you know, Star-Lord or something, and adding rolls and stuff like that, because a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, people you fight won't even know what to do against this hard of aim. They're either going to sit there and try to win the aim battle, if you're just aiming like how I'm aiming right now, or they're going to get the fuck out of there. If it's a good pilot, he'll duel you. Like a good pilot will sit there and duel you if you're just left and right strafing, because it's super counterable. But like I said, if you're not there yet, you're not there yet. And then you can add rolls in and slowing down and speed braking, 180 in, you know, throwing countermeasures, blah blah blah. But you're not gonna meet pilots like that unless you're hanging around Grim Hex and stuff. Okay. So hope that was helpful, and appreciate y'all.